What's up everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today it's Sunday, it's a beautiful day outside. I had a very busy day. I did some renovating in the shed that we're currently renovating, and I was sitting in the garden and I thought, well, I think it's time to also make a new video. So I was thinking about one of my plants, which was my beautiful, I think it's still beautiful, Calathea White Fusion, and I actually was thinking, because it's not doing so well. I mean, it's growing, well, it's not growing, it's just surviving. But I would love to see this plant thrive a little more. So I thought, well, how would a plant like this do in my favorite substrate, Lechuza Pon? Well, didn't focus, but I'm gonna repot this beauty into Lechuza Pon to hopefully make it a little happier, and hopefully it will grow some more leaves, because it lost a few leaves but it didn't get any new leaves. So welcome to this repot session with me, where I'm gonna repot my Calathea White Fusion into Lechuza Pon. So I've already prepared a new pot for this beauty, which is this nursery pot. I added some leca at the bottom just to make sure that the Lechuza Pon doesn't fall out. And I think it's just time to take the plant out of its pot and see how it actually looks. So we're gonna take this beauty out of its pot very carefully, because I'm very curious to see how the roots are actually looking. And as you can see, it has some roots, so yeah, it's looking okay. But as I mentioned, I didn't got any new growth. As you can see, for example, this part is just completely, I don't know, there used to be leaves there, but it's now just a stem. So now it's time to just get all the soil off the plant. I also know a lot of people that say that it is not necessary to get all the soil off the roots, but I kind of disagree with that, because I think it's very important to get as much soil off the roots, otherwise there is a higher chance of getting root rot. And I mean, everyone should just do what they feel like doing, but in my opinion it's better to get rid of as much soil as you can. And I know that in this process you will obviously kill some roots or snap off some roots. So what I always do is I make like a hole in the middle of the root ball and just feel with my fingers and go from inside outwards. I also want to show you this, which are like the insecticide that I added, which is slowly spreading, but we're not going to use it anymore because it's going to get a whole new life in Lechuza Pon. And this process is very, well, let's say that this process is very easy, and it's very easy to get the soil off the roots, and after that it's just time to rinse the roots. So when you have like as much soil off as you can, it's time to rinse the roots under lukewarm water. So first of all I need to get a little bit more of the roots, and now as you can see it looks something like this, and I'm gonna rinse it on the lukewarm water. So here we are back in my kitchen again, and I did fill up this big bucket with water, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the plant in this bucket and just shake a little and just go around the roots with your hands and just feel the places where you still feel like a lot of soil. The reason why I'm doing this in a bucket instead of just under water is because, first of all, it's not very good to use so much water, because when you are gonna do it under a, yeah, just when the hose is just running, you're gonna get a lot of water. Just, yeah, it's kind of useless to use all that water. And second of all, I used to do this the other way, and I have had some, well, let's say the soil ended up in the system of our house, and then we had some problems with that. So my boyfriend told me you should use a bucket or just find another way to do it, because this is not the way to go. And that's why right now I'm using this bucket. I'm gonna get a little closer for you so you can see what I'm actually doing. Okay, so it's very important to get as much soil off the roots as you can, and as you can see I'm just using water and I'm just touching the roots and get as much soil off the roots as I can. And it is okay if you're gonna lose some roots in this process, because it's better to have clean roots than end up with root rot. And then when the roots look something like this, you're good to go. Back at the attic again. So I'm gonna show you the roots one more time. They should look something like this, and then you are good to go. So what you're gonna need a planter, and I just use this normal planter, and I added some leca at the bottom of the planter, because otherwise the Lechuza Pon, since it's very small, like that, will fall out. So first of all, you're gonna put some Lechuza Pon at the bottom. Easy like that. I actually reused this Lechuza because I grew my caladiums in here during summer, but the caladiums, they are now going dormant again, so I removed them from their pots and I store them for winter, and now I can reuse it for this beautiful plant. So I added about a layer like this at the bottom of the planter, and then we're just gonna put the plant in here. And when you're done, it's just time that you fill the rest of the planter with Lechuza Pon again. And I am so curious to see how this plant will do in Lechuza Pon. I have grown a Maranta species in the past, which actually did kinda okay, but yeah, this is one of the more harder Calatheas for as far as I know. So I'm curious to see if this one will thrive, or if it will survive, or maybe it even will die. But it's just an experiment to see if it's doing okay. So I've added all the Lechuza Pon in here. What I always do is I always shake the plant. Shake it, baby! Because then it will just also fill the gaps. As I mentioned, I reused this Lechuza Pon, and I did that by putting it in the microwave for, let's say, 5 minutes, so that it killed every, like, let's say, bacteria or bugs that were in the previous substrate. So it's totally clean, and hopefully it will make this beauty thrive again. So now it still looks like this, except I've added the Lechuza Pon right there. And it's still a beautiful plant, but yeah, it's just sad that it's not really growing. The last thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna find a nice outer pot where this inner pot can go in, and I make sure that the water stays at a level like, let's say, something like this. So by capillary action it will suck up the water and make sure that the whole pot is moisturized, so that this beauty will grow better and better. So that was it for today, my little repot session with my beautiful Calathea White Fusion. If you have any questions, please let me know, drop them in the comments, check out my Instagram, I will link it right there. Yeah, and just let me know, what is your last plant that you've repotted? I'm very curious to hear. And also, why did you repot it? Because I actually do not repot my plants that often, only when I'm going from a certain substrate into another substrate. But besides that, I actually almost never repot my plants. So that was it. Thank you guys again, and I hope to see you again very soon.